get the question too about Kirill Kaprizov like all summer. Like you get tired of talking about it. And the fact that obviously we got Kirill signed. It was Billy Guerin's been in some battles in his life on the ice and off. I mean, that was a fight. That was a struggle. That was a battle. And I know Billy probably downplays a lot about how it kind of wore him out. Just as a general manager, you can't get too high and too low, just like a player. But I can promise you there were probably some days that he wanted to strangle somebody because he thought he was being more and more than fair. And the fact that they got it done is so exciting for our fan base. I mean, I on the air last year, there were so many times, girls, that I he'd only played 50 games, 55 games or whatever. And some of the things that he was doing in the offensive zone reminded me so much of Sidney Crosby, the way he would skate with his feet open, mohawk move and come up with pucks, and how dangerous he was in the offensive zone. I had to stop myself from comparing him to Sidney Crosby, but I got a feeling that comparison might come out this year at some point during one of the broadcasts or some of the broadcasts. He's that dynamic, and he's in a Wild uniform.
Yeah. And I don't think fans are going to complain about having that comparison in a Wild uniform, right? Like
Penguins fans might, they might get up in a ruckus about it.
Well, you know what it's like, girls, too. You throw a comparison like that when the kids played 50 games. And I'm not one of those guys that likes to overanalyze things, even though I am an analyst. I don't love to overanalyze things. I was really nervous calling him Sidney Crosby. Like I said, I stayed away from it, but if he continues to do what he does, Kirill Kaprizov does, he's going to get that comparison this year. He is that dynamic in the offensive zone and able to create a lot just out of his own sheer determination and his the tools that he has in the toolbox. There's just not many players in the world that can do what he can do.
Right. I think the most exciting thing, selfishly, when he got signed, what people were like, how relieved are you that he signed? I'm like, I'm relieved no one's going to ask me about this anymore, about what I know. Is he signed yet? What have you heard? I'm like, I just finally, that was like every single time I went up to somebody, they're like, hey, so Kirill Kaprizov. I'm like, I'm good. Thanks for asking. And yes, Kirill Kaprizov. But no, then you take a step back and you think this really is, a big moment in Wild history and hopefully a turning point in Wild history. And I know Jesse and I have dabbled with the idea of, is there a possibility of a sophomore slump? Is Kirill Kaprizov going to be able to get back to and exceed what he did last year? He's going to have a new center, between him and Zuccarello. Wes, what do you predict for a season for Kirill Kaprizov? Is Jules Eriksson going to be a better fit there? And can Kirill Kaprizov be the MVP that we all hope he's going to be?
And if he scores less than 40 points, is it a bust?
Yeah, it is. It will be a bust when you're making $9 million. Listen, you're making $9 million now. That's a different ball game. So now you've moved into the top, 20, 30 guys getting paid in the league. That's just the world you live in. So there's going to be pressure on you to score. And when the team does struggle to score and you're not, and he's not scoring and the team's not winning, that's just part of the business. But I just think he's one of those type of players, girls. You saw him play last year. Like he plays so hard every game that I just don't see him going into a situation where he doesn't score in like 10 games or things like that. Like one's going to go off his shin pad, one just because he's got the puck so much. He has the ability. Usually, you'll see defensemen around the NHL, guys that play 30 minutes, able to control the game from the back end. This is a guy that really can control the game from the front end. And when he's on the ice, the ice just tilts. It just does. He's so strong on pucks, comes up with loose pucks. And I just don't see him having any problem scoring. There is going to be no question about it. He will be the focal point going into every game for the opposition. Like he will have a star beside his name in every visitor's locker room. Keys to beating the Minnesota Wild, keeping 97 off the score sheet. And so that's nothing. That's nothing new to Kirill Kaprizov. I mean, he had that all when he was playing the KHL for 5 years and, maybe caught people off guard the first 15, 20 games of the season last year, but he still played 30 games of the season where he was playing against Brent Burns and Doughty and all the Norris Trophy winners, and he was still able to put up numbers and score. So I don't think he'll have any problem, getting to 35, 40 goals and be able to get at least a point a game, especially especially playing with Zuccarello. And, obviously you mentioned Eriksson Ek being on that line. I think with having speed through the middle of the ice with those two skill guys. So just envision this, girls, through the neutral zone. Those three guys are coming through the neutral zone. This is no slight against Victor Rask, because I actually like Victor Rask a lot more than most people in this market. Okay? Because you know why I like him? Because he's a very smart hockey player. I love cerebral hockey players. But he doesn't play with the pace that Eriksson Ek does. So just envision this coming through the neutral zone with Ek, Zuccarello, and 97. Eriksson Ek kicks the puck out wide. Now Eriksson Ek drives the middle of the ice, and he's got so much speed that the defenders have to go with him because he's got so much speed. Right. This isn't Victor Rask, okay? That is going to create so much ice at the top of the zone when they enter the zone. We know Zuccarello likes to play as offside, right? So we are going to see Mr. Zuccarello cut to the middle at the blue line a lot more. And if he gets to the middle of the ice, Zuccarello, and cuts to the middle and gets that ice, that now all of a sudden his vision comes into play. You're usually going to need a save off of the rush. So that's one thing that I'm really excited for. Zuccarello getting it. One of the things that's flew under the radar last year is Matt Zuccarello had averaged 0.83 points a game last year, which was highest of his career. You think he's not excited to have that guy back in the mix, Kirill Kaprizov. So when I'm watching them at practice, girls, and we get a chance to watch them practice all the time, those two are really, really dynamic, and I'm just excited to see what this line can do.